distinguished guests on the dais. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the first ICEDC Symposium on the strategic importance of career development in schools. But first up, I'd like to invite Mr. Craig Johnson, the Superintendent of the American School, to officially welcome the gathering.
The quote from the Upanishad says, "Knowledge without wisdom leads to sorrow." Indian education has nailed the knowledge part. It's there. The concept of wisdom is in the fulcrum of the future. And I believe in the 21st century, 2014, wisdom means skills and the application of knowledge. This is where the educational institutions around the world are failing. And this is why this organization exists. I read your mission statement, and it has 5 verbs. So in other words, you need to know that your organization, the Indian Career Education Development Council, has said these are the 5 verbs in our mission. Now at this point, usually if you were my teachers, I would say, tell me our mission. I won't test you on that. I will begin by telling you the verbs that are not in your mission. The verbs that are not in the mission of the Indian Education Career Council Development are to memorize. This is not one of your verbs. To recite. This is not one of your verbs. To study. This is not one of your verbs. To test. This is not one of your verbs. To inform is not one of your verbs. The 5 verbs in your organization's mission statement are to explore, to understand, to decide, to plan, and to execute. And these 5 verbs, explore, understand, decide, plan, and execute, in real-life scenarios to create a youth in India and the world that is self-directed and self-informed. That's in the mission statement. Great, lofty language. But what's the main objective of this organization? If you keep clicking around your website, you find a paragraph that says, our main objective is. Your main objective is, and I'll quote a piece of the paragraph, to collaborate with government, schools, and industry. You got to pull these 3 together. You got to get the government, you got to get the industry, and we are the bridge. Schools are the bridge. And what are you going to do with this collaboration? And I quote, you are going to harness. That's a great verb. Harness means like to grab it, use it, leverage it. You're going to harness technological and economic change and enable a country to compete effectively in the global market. That is the main objective of this organization, is to harness the technological and economic change to allow a country to effectively compete in the global market. And that is why you are here today. Today you are here partnering with the American School of Bombay because we, very much like you, believe in those 5 verbs and in your main objective. But let me tell you why we believe that. In the American School of Bombay's mission, we have optimism, we have courage, we have integrity, we have skills, we have inquiry, we have pursuing dreams, and we have enhancing the lives of others. Those are all phrases from our mission statement. But the tagline of the American School of Bombay is School for the Future. Not School of the Future, because that's some fictional something. We are the School for the Future. And coming up with this tagline, and I'm going to share this with you, was born out of fear. As a school, if schools look at themselves in the mirror, they should be afraid of becoming irrelevant and obsolete. Because the future is coming at us so fast and so different from the past that if we do not do something, we are going to become irrelevant. Many schools are patting themselves on the backs because of test scores or whatever. Take those kids and throw them 4 or 5 years in the future. How will they adapt is the question. One of the data points that gave birth to this fear of irrelevance is a philosophical and technological hypothesis or concept called singularity. Singularity is the belief and the hypothesis, and it is a hypothesis that is very quickly becoming proven, that artificial intelligence is on a trajectory to equal human intelligence somewhere in 2035. I'll still be alive. The hypothesis of singularity is suggesting that artificial, computerized, technological intelligence is going to reach a point when it is equal or perhaps beginning to surpass human intelligence. And I'll tell you right now, artificial intelligence can already beat us at memorizing, testing, informing, reciting, done. We cannot compete with them. We still have the edge on artificial intelligence on exploring, understanding, deciding, planning, and executing. The verbs from your mission. Your mission is making a future relevant. I want to end with the following question that we as the American School of Bombay asked ourselves 5 years ago when we built our strategic plan. The question is, now that we know what 2035 might look like, what are we going to do about it? Not 2016, not 2017. I'll leave you with the following question. How do we partner with government and education and industry to create a structure for our youth to grow up prepared for a future that does not exist and a future that they themselves will create? Good luck with that one. Thank you very much.
It gives me great pleasure now to introduce to you our chief guests, Mr. Nadir Godrej and Dr. Atik Godrej.
Now India is on the rise. The economy is of a decent size, and growth will now accelerate, and soon we will celebrate GDP growth that's somewhat better than China, that amazing go-getter. We are constantly being told that the developing world is growing old, and China too will now start aging, just as India is luckily staging its greatest growth in the working force, and the dependency ratio, of course, will fall and stay low for years to come. And that is the argument in sum for our demographic dividend. It's not for us to merrily spend, but neither should it just be spurned. It's not for granted, but must be earned. It should be clearly understood that untrained hordes do us no good. Alas, inadequate education is the bane of our nation. School leavers are few and far between. In tertiary education, fewer are seen, and vocational education is very thin. So how could we possibly win? Could the National Skill Development Corporation provide salvation for our nation? Economic opportunity can beckon, and yet we would have to reckon with a world in rapid change and outcomes in an uncertain range. Technology is advancing fast. We've little guidance from the past, and learnings are soon obsolete. We'll have to master the feat of continuous lifetime learning if we want to keep on earning. The workforce of the future, I fear, will see many changes in career, and skills we'll constantly hone. If the first job's a mere stepping stone, there is perhaps no decision that would require as much precision as the choice of a good career. So how should we decide to steer the youth who had to make this choice? Now in the past they had no voice. The parents often chose by fashion, ignoring aptitude or passion, and few were thought respectable or financially acceptable. But now the choice is very wide, and perfect matching can be tried. Job needs can fit with aptitude, and satisfaction with attitude. And early intervention's best, with both an interview and test that gives time for preparation and options for reconsideration. It in case of error, we've always got a chance at a second shot. And if we are really to succeed, a professional approach is what we need. An international association can help develop our nation. Best practices can be adopted, new members can then be co-opted, good information can be provided, all young adults can be guided with a professional approach by a good career guidance coach who would know how well to steer each one to a matched career. And thanks to ICEDC, we will achieve our destiny of economic and social growth. I hope that we'll succeed in both, thanks to a brilliant working force that proves to be the perfect source for all the needs of the economy and yet escapes all drudgery, since none are just poorly patched and all have been ideally matched. And I just hope I live to see an India striving happily with all well matched and all well skilled, all working well and all fulfilled. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce to you Mr. Mark Pearce, Australian Consul General in Mumbai. Mr. Pearce is a Senior Career Officer with the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade.
I was looking especially at the core skill as you define it, the core skill to find the right fit, which is exactly the core skill that I try to apply every day. All of our representatives in India try to apply to find the right fit between Australia and India. We've done it in very small part by supporting the work that you do, and a wonderful investment that is. But we also do it trying to work out how we can address the issue of scale between Australia and India. I think in education between Australia and India, we need many of the same qualities we need elsewhere. Patience, we need very good partners, including you, especially you. And we need, in a sense, to show our scars. We need not to talk about lessons learned or best practice or models that we have. We need to talk about what we've done wrong, as well as what we've managed to get right. Let me give you an example away from your own field of expertise. We do a lot of projects in water basin management in India, with the Godavari River Basin and the Ganges. We do that on the basis of what we've done at home with the Murray-Darling River Basin, where we've made some terrible mistakes, where we're now trying to balance claims, price water, auction allocations, do all those model scientific flows of the water, all the things which go to repair mistakes. So a lot of what we're saying in India, say to our Indian partners is, here are 6 things we've done, 2 of which were shocking mistakes, so please don't do those, please avoid those. Here's some things that work better, with a view to more effective career development. Career development, when my brother started at school, he was only 2 years older than I. Career development involved turning up the first day of high school, 400 kids standing in the quadrangle, and the headmaster said, okay kids, do you want to be technical or professional in your careers? Move to that side or move to this side. I bet 99% of the kids had no idea what either of those words meant, let alone the connotations, the consequences of making a choice of that order. I went through 2 years later and they took the kids they deemed to be potentially clever, or as Billy Connolly would say, savable, and taught us 3 languages and 2 maths and music to try and turn us into Renaissance people. As you can see, in my case, that failed. But I wanted to leave you with 2 comments from Australians. The first is our Minister for Industry, and his title is a misnomer. Minister McFarlane handles industry and services and science and research and skills development and resources and energy. if he'd lived in this country, you would have given Sadi Patel that portfolio. And he said to me when he was here the other day that education qualifications should be just like currency. He was talking specifically about vocational education, but he could just as easily have been talking about career education in schools. Just like currency, they should be respected. They should be able to be used. They should be able to be exchanged. They should be transported. They should be usable everywhere in the same way that a dollar bill is. I think that's part of what lies behind your career development planning. To end up with kids with qualifications with certification, which is usable like currency. Second point, our former Prime Minister Gillard, soon after she became Prime Minister, was at an international meeting in Brussels, and somebody said to her, well, what do you think about this? And she said, well, I'd much rather be home teaching a kid how to read. She was pilloried for that comment and sent to me entirely unfairly, because I think there's no finer or more noble thing that you can do. There's no happier or more joyful thing that you can do. I have 3 grandsons. Nothing gives me more pleasure than reading with them and watching them come to know the world which is opened up through books and through learning. That's what you're doing here today. That's your core skill to find the right fit. I encourage you in it. I'm delighted we've been able to support in a very small way what you're doing. Look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.